It was time you two should meet. Paul, say hello to my favorite beast in the whole world.
Kathy Bates.
Go home.
Go home? Why am I going
home?
Am I embarrassing you in front of your friends?
Andy Garcia.
Look, maybe your life works for you, but it doesn't work for me, and I want to stay.
Winona Ryder. What do these three movie actors have in common? Well, they're all included on our list of the breakthrough stars of 1991, and that's the subject of this special edition of Siskel and Ebert. This is the annual selection we make of movie stars who, based on their recent work, we think are poised for even more major recognition in the year ahead. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first actor who really made it big in this past year is Ray Liotta, the exciting star of Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas, which we both thought was the best movie of the year. Liotta, who has played dangerous guys before, this time played a fresh-faced kid who wanted more than anything else to be a mobster.
I gave them $20 each.
Sorry.
Henry, this is what Mr. told me over there. Where? Over there.
Oh, thanks so much, Tony. Thank you. Salute.
What do you do?
What?
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
You don't feel like you're in construction.
No, I'm a union delegate.
Liotta first showed his ability to play creeps in Jonathan Demme's thrilling 1985 film Something Wild, with Liotta as a thug who terrorizes ex-wife Melanie Griffith and her straight-laced new boyfriend Jeff Daniels while they're on a road trip together.
I used to spar around a lot in the joint. It was just me and a bunch of the brothers. They all thought I was crazy. By the time I got out of there, though, they all had respect for me, Charlie.
Liotta was also effective in 1988's Dominic and Eugene, which had a story similar to Rain Man, with Liotta taking care of his more dim-witted brother, Tom Hulse.
Oh, Jesus, Nicky. I'm sorry, Jennifer. It's okay. You think I don't know what's going on? Huh? You think I don't know you're gonna go Atlantic City and leave me behind? What? Atlantic City?
The most popular movie of Liotta's brief career is Field of Dreams, in which he played band ball player Shoeless Joe Jackson, brought back to life in an Iowa cornfield.
Where'd they come from? Where did we come from? You wouldn't believe how many guys wanted to play here. We had to beat them off with a stick.
Hey, that's Smokey Joe Wood. And Mel Ott. And Gil Hodges.
And Ty Cobb wanted to play. None of us could stand a son of a bitch when we were alive, so we told him to stick it.
Obviously, Ray Liotta can play more than thugs, but what I like about him in those tough guy roles is that he is unpredictable, doesn't repeat himself, doesn't make cliched moves, and always seems street smart. He's not a glamour boy. He's a fully accomplished actor who has done a great job of working with first-rate directors.
You know, when I saw him in Goodfellas, it was like the fruition of this talent that we had seen coming along ever since Something Wild,
Yes.
where he walked into the last third of that picture and he just took it over. And what's interesting, working with Scorsese as he did, was that you now begin to see more dimensions to him. He's not just the person that he was originally chosen to be by casting directors to say, here's an aspect or a facet that will work, and so let's use this facet. You find that we can probably look ahead now to him breaking through to all kinds of more dimensional roles.
And he's going to get those multi-dimensional roles by working with great directors. In fact, a theme I think throughout the show is going to be these actors are smart enough to know that they're going to look better when they work with the best directors. Here he is, Demme, Scorsese. This guy is real smart in managing his career.
Of course, there are a lot of actors out there thinking, gee, I'm just as good. I wish I could work with Demme and Scorsese, too. Yeah. Our next breakthrough star is Kathy Bates, who gained a lot of recognition for her starring role in Misery, the movie where she played the #1 fan of a best-selling romance writer played by James Caan. But like a lot of our stars, she's done good work in a lot of movies over the years before she finally got her name above the title. Here is Kathy Bates, for example, 13 years ago in a Dustin Hoffman thriller named Straight Time.
Willie's been doing real good, you know. He's been doing real fine. He's been working hard lately. And I know you're good friends, and he really loves you, but I just don't think it's good that he see you right now.
1990 was an especially good year for Bates because suddenly she was all over the place. In Dick Tracy.
Okay, you heard him, Mrs. Green. That's his testimony. Okay, boys, get him out of here.
His what?
White Palace and Men Don't Leave.
It's been almost 4 years since my marriage fell apart. You know how hard it was for you to have been left with 2 boys?
Yes.
It was harder to have been left alone.
And here she is in Misery, bringing the most alarming cheerfulness to her role as a fan who has her favorite writer right where she wants him.
Annie, what's the matter?
What's the matter? I'll tell you what's the matter. I go out of my way for you. I do everything to try and make you happy. I feed you, I clean you, I dress you, and what thanks do I get? Oh, you bought the wrong paper, Annie. I can't write on this paper, Annie. Well, I'll get your stupid paper, but you just better start showing me a little more appreciation around here, Mr. Man.
Now that's good acting there, and I think it's because Bates never ever tries to be scary or frightening. She's like a good-mannered hostess in her own home, trying to make her captive feel like a welcome guest and disappointed when he lets her down by trying to escape or trying not to get cut up. It's a subtle kind of acting that Bates seems to specialize in. Instead of simply projecting the emotion that's required, she figures out which choices each particular character might make, and here it's the hostess that makes it so chilling.
She's very, very good. And, you know, you mentioned Men Don't Leave. I think that's one of the ignored films of 1990. And if people are looking for a video recommendation, even for tonight, I would suggest Men Don't Leave. And Kathy Bates' role there as a friend, basically, but one who isn't cloyingly good. She's tough on her own. That's a terrific picture. Men Don't Leave.
Well, I have my own opinions about Men Don't Leave, but Kathy Bates is very good in it, and I think we're going to see some nice stuff from her. I know she's making a play in the Fields of the Lord, which will be a starring role for her in 1991. Coming up later in the show, an actress who has worked both with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Marlon Brando, and an actor who's so good he may yet inspire another Godfather sequel.
How you doing, Mr. Corleone? How you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing?
I said that you're a lying member of a no-good race. Oh, I like it.
That's a scene from The Untouchables, starring Andy Garcia, who was another one of our breakthrough stars of 1991. And we're devoting this special edition of Siskel and Ebert to a group of movie actors who have been around for a while and have already won some good roles, but who, on their basis of their recent work, seem poised for real major breakthroughs. You could make the argument, I suppose, that Andy Garcia has already broken through. After all, how much better can you do than have one of the major roles in The Godfather Part 3? But many moviegoers still aren't familiar with this tough, good-looking young actor who started working in the middle 80s in films like 8 Million Ways to Die.
What's going on, Angel? What's going on? I just want to show you here who's going to make the rules here today.
Garcia's recent work includes performances in Stand and Deliver in 1988.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
Black Rain in 1989.
I don't know, Nicky. Something tells me we should cut our losses and let the locals handle it around here.
And a very strong performance in 1990 in Internal Affairs.
Participating in a money laundering scheme. Tax evasion, fraud, police corruption.
And here he is as one of the key characters in The Godfather Part 3, the hot-headed young nephew of Don Michael Corleone, who thinks he could solve the family's problems with a few well-chosen murder targets.
So, what's the trouble between you and Mr. Joseph?
Just trouble. I'll take care of it.
It's foolish of you.
Foolish of me? He's a little foolish to this guy, don't you think? Right? Right!
Andy Garcia is the kind of sleek, handsome leading man who might try to get by on looks alone, but good looks alone don't make it in today's Hollywood. And he has a lot more going for him, including that unpredictable off-the-wall streak he uses in Godfather 3. That element of surprise and danger, that ability to catch audiences off guard with a sudden shift of temper, is central to the success of stars like Jack Nicholson and Gene Hackman. And I think Andy Garcia has it too.
He also has for a guy who gets into these violent roles, I think that he has a real good nature that I think the camera photographs quite well. And I think that really comes through. So you feel that this is basically a very good person. And that sets up a very interesting thing when he's in a violent situation. That means that he can really play more than just heavies. He can play heroic characters. This guy's going to have a very big career.
I'm not sure that I think that's intrinsic to what he does. For example, I don't think that the character that he plays in Godfather Part 3 ever gave me the opinion that he was essentially a good person.
Yes, I'll tell you when he did. In his affection for Sofia Coppola, for Michael's daughter, Michael Corleone's daughter, I think that was a good person. He does care for her.
That's funny, because it always seemed to me watching the movie that one of the reasons he was in love with her was because it could further his career.
Yes, but I think that I think that's the way it should be in the script, but I think that what you see there is basically a guy caring for his cousin. Coming up later in the show, an actor who specializes in playing weirdos, and coming up next, the most popular teenage actress in Hollywood.
Yeah, they say you're a wild one.
God, I want to kiss you so bad right now, Dinky.
It's good to want things.
That's Winona Ryder in Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, one of her 3 teenage roles she played so well in 1990. And at age 19, Winona Ryder is one of the busiest actresses in Hollywood, grabbing every juicy teenage role around, it seems. In Mermaids this past year, she co-starred as Cher's eccentric, yet vulnerable daughter looking for love.
The boat's down there.
Please, God, let him throw me on the ground and make another Joey Jr.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
In Edward Scissorhands, Ryder plays the title character's nervous love object.
Are you okay?
Yes, are you okay?
Ryder made her film debut at age 15 in a strong role in the popular preteen story, Lucas.
There's a dance on Friday, did you know? Yeah. Want to go?
Ryder's breakthrough role was as a vulnerable high school student under pressure to conform in the 1989 cult hit, Heathers.
I don't really like my friends.
Yeah, I don't really like your friends either.
Well, it's just like they're people I work with and our job is being popular.
Ryder seems drawn to risky roles, characters on the edge, and she played Jerry Lee Lewis's young wife in Great Balls of Fire, also from 1989. And in 1988, she was a precocious teen whose only friends were ghosts in Tim Burton's fantasy, Beetlejuice.
What do you look like under there?
Aren't you scared?
I'm not scared of sheets. Are you gross under there? Are you Night of the Living Dead under there?
What makes Winona Ryder so special, so much in demand? Well, I think she's a chameleon. I didn't recognize her under that blonde wig in Edward Scissorhands. She's also got that classic movie actor duality of being strong and vulnerable in the same body and often in the same character. She typically acts aggressively, but there's a nervous soul inside. I'm firmly convinced that Ryder is not going to be a flash-in-the-pan youth star. She's just too good. She has to be around for a long time.
Well, you know, despite the fact that she's played young characters, because she's 19, so who else can she play? She hasn't really played youth characters. I mean, every one of her roles has been a dramatic role that was fully formed in terms of that character. And I remember seeing her in Lucas, which was on my list of the 10 best films of that year. I think Lucas is a really overlooked, wonderful film. And even then, in practically her first work on the screen, she was so assured. There are people who seem to come along who just have it.
Yes, and she does.
It's inexplicable. Other people go to acting classes for 25 years. She hasn't.
Well, and it, in this case, I think, is a real richness. There's a real depth that she brings to a role. And in addition to that, the parts being written wide, she's there with a whole lot of conflicting personality traits so that it isn't just a kid on the beach or whatever. Coming up next, a breakthrough star who was in so many movies last year, she may already have broken through.
You're a patient?
That's $1.80, baby.
You don't look like a patient.
Hello?
You'd like to come to my place for dinner tomorrow night.
That's Penelope Ann Miller as a teacher who falls in love with an undercover cop in Kindergarten Cop, and it was only one of 3 major roles for Penelope Ann Miller during the last year. She's one of those faces that has suddenly become familiar, even though you may not be exactly sure who she is. One of Miller's great talents seems to be virtuosity as a girlfriend. Her romantic co-stars in the movies have included Matthew Broderick, Robert De Niro, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Pee Wee Herman. Here she is in the 1988 comedy Big Top Pee Wee.
Am I late?
Of course you're late, Pee-wee.
But I forgive you.
Oh, Winnie.
What's the children? The children!
And she had a wonderful scene with Broderick in the underrated 1990 comedy The Freshman as the daughter of Mafia godfather Marlon Brando.
My father thinks that Clark is an A student.
Yes, he's a very fine young man.
An A student, that's what my father said.
Yes.
Here she is in Awakenings, one of the best films of the year, as a young woman who's found attractive by De Niro, a patient who has just been awakened from a trance of 30 years.
Are you following me? Oh, I'm sorry, I was only kidding. I saw you upstairs just now. Are you visiting someone?
No.
You work here?
I live here.
You're a patient?
What Penelope Ann Miller has there, I think, is a wonderful quality of tenderness and sympathy. She seems to understand how that man really feels, and it's her understanding that makes it such a touching scene. In one movie after another, Miller seems almost to specialize in empathy. She's usually not the sex pot who bowls men off their feet. More often, she's the perceptive woman who's able to see something other people can't see in this guy, see something in a man who is not quite conventional. She can do something that's hard to do in the movie. She can listen convincingly and dramatically. There's tension in the way she listens. I have a feeling there may be a whole side to Penelope Ann Miller we haven't seen yet, a more aggressive, outgoing side, but in these recent roles, she's already made a special kind of impression.
Well, she's incredibly versatile. I have a feeling that the word on her probably in Hollywood is, get me her, we'll find a place for her in our movie. I mean, this is somebody you want there. She's just gonna be a solid player. I don't know what she can't do. I don't think we, as you say, she'll be tested and she'll be equal to it. This is I mean, talk about a range. This is a remarkable
When you
actress.
look through those boyfriends that she's had, De Niro, Schwarzenegger, Pee Wee Herman, and so forth.
When you get Schwarzenegger and Pee Wee Herman, you've covered
it's almost,
it enough.
who can play this character? They're looking at the screenplay and they're, well, maybe Penelope Ann Miller can, because she is able, I think, to relate. She has that quality of attentiveness, which is very good in an actor. Her
selflessness.
Her energy in a scene seems to come out of the other person as much as out of herself. Coming up next, perhaps our most controversial breakthrough star of 1991.
Gotta get you out of this thing. Oh, you're talking like my grandma here.
Our final breakthrough star of 1991 is John Turturro, who I suppose is best known for his great role as the racist son in Spike Lee's extraordinary Do the Right Thing. Here he tries to talk his dad into moving their pizzeria out of a black neighborhood.
I'm sick of niggas. It's like I come to work. It's Planet of the Apes. I don't like being around them. The animals.
With his ungainly looks, Turturro naturally gets creepy roles, often thugs. He was in 2 mobster movies this past year, State of Grace and Miller's Crossing.
It's the wrong situation to gimmick as different people than we are. We're not muscle Tom. I never killed anybody. I used a little information for a chisel, that's all. It's my nature, Tom. I can't help it. Somebody hands me an angle, I play it. I don't deserve to die for that.
One of his best roles was as a brutish character who frightens Jodie Foster in John Patrick Shanley's 5 Corners in 1987.
I missed you.
You did, huh?
Yeah. Out of the whole world, you were the only one I missed.
Turturro has been cast by the best directors. Martin Scorsese used him briefly in The Color of Money.
Yo, Vincent! Vincent, we're on! Hey, Vincent! Can you believe this guy?
His latest role is as a mobster based on Shakespeare's Macbeth in Men of Respect.
What is it with me? I can't stop shaking.
It's over. It's done. I got blood on me, too. I'm not crying about it.
When I watched Men of Respect, I saw a little of John Turturro repeating himself with his crying out scenes. He comes dangerously close to going over the top, I think, in both Men of Respect and Miller's Crossing. And if I could dare to give this fine actor some career advice, it would be to drop the mobster roles for a while and try doing some romance or comedy. He's too talented to be typecast.
Yeah, I think he would be good in a comedy.
He would be great in a comedy.
Now, I was just recently watching Men of Respect.
Yeah.
And it's not a successful movie.
No.
And sometimes you can find out more about an actor in a movie where they're really working
well, this
working
one
to get
requires all the actors to work.
then, you know, if you've got Scorsese directing for you and a great screenplay, then that's one thing. But it's an interesting performance. He brings attention to it. He brings an intensity to it. He brings a weirdness to it, which is necessary. And so that you don't look at him and say, gee, this is bad work. You say, it's good work. Where is it going? What's it about? But I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm interested.
There's another actor who reminds me of, and that's Nicolas Cage. I think these are guys who take a lot of risks, and I'm just saying, why doesn't he take them in comedy for a change? I think it would really show off his talent.
That's it for this special show honoring our selection of the 6 breakthrough stars of 1991. Ray Liotta, Kathy Bates, Andy Garcia, Winona Ryder, Penelope Ann Miller, and John Turturro. And next week we'll be back with reviews of new movies, including Queen's Logic, starring Kevin Bacon and John Malkovich and Joe Mantegna.
It's you!
Got stressed, huh?
Who wouldn't? This music would make Will Rogers punch a nun.
That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
A generous supply of Kentucky Fried Chicken for delicious tasting food from meals to snacks. Nobody's cooking like today's KFC. Snowcaps, Raisinets, and Goobers. 3 big box office hits starring Nestle Milk Chocolate. Moviegoers give them a definite 2 thumbs up. New Dynatrim, the delicious, nutritious weight loss plan from the makers of Centrum. Shake it, freeze it, or mousse it, and lose yourself in the taste. Magla brings you excellent hand protection for all household chores with their comfort, loving hands and hygienic disposable gloves. From Magla Home Helpers.